Good morning, everyone. I'm Tilly Chang, Executive Director of the San Francisco County Transportation Authority. 大家好，我是张婷丽，旧金山县交通部长，很高兴能够参加这个会议。I'd like to thank everybody at ITS Asia and the SUZO organizers of the ITS World Congress for including me and allowing me to share some perspectives from San Francisco. And on behalf of our mayor, London Breed, and the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, who are my board, we send greetings to you all from our city. And we hope that you will soon come to visit. San Francisco is a locus of innovation, and we appreciate the opportunity to share our experience with you today. Our agency, the SFCTA, is one of two agencies in San Francisco that help to manage and guide through planning and policy and development of our transportation system. We are a funding, planning, and occasionally also project delivery agency formed in 1990 as the congestion management agency for San Francisco at the county level. And SFMTA is the city's Department of Transportation and Transit operator. And they have been also doing planning and project delivery for over 100 years. Together, we work with our partners, regional operators such as BART and Caltrain, which are our heavy rail and commuter rail systems, Bay Ferry, and the Caltrans State Department of Transportation. Our local context is guided by a 50-year transit-first policy to prioritize sustainable modes and efficiency on our transportation system. This includes land uses that are dense enough to support livable cities and transit to succeed, including passing a transit impact development fee, a transportation sales tax that our agency manages, as well as adopting our climate action plan and Vision Zero policy, like many other international cities. We also passed a modest small ride-hail tax in 2019 that I will talk about a little later. San Francisco is about 800,000 people in population, and it's one of 100 cities in the Bay Area. We're about 11% of the population of the Bay Area, which is projected to grow to 10 million residents and 5 million jobs by 2050. And so our overall Bay Area plan has many transportation investments, ITS programs to make transit easier and more responsive, as well as to help manage demand and guide our growth. In San Francisco, even though we only have 11% of the Bay Area population, we account for about 70% of the region's transit trips. So we are very much guided again by our transit first strategy and equitable climate action. In terms of emissions, transportation accounts for about half of our greenhouse gas emissions in our total transportation pictures. The sector is about half of the overall emissions. However, emissions are down significantly, and we do have ambitious goals to reduce them even further by 2030, 61% by 2030, below 1990 levels. And the goal is to reach 80% of trips by sustainable and low carbon modes. Like many cities after the pandemic, we are trying to support recovery, develop new options for folks with new travel patterns, and respond to the need to be creative and resilient. We're rebuilding and renewing our infrastructure, reorganizing our streets to provide more space for active modes and transit, as well as even dining and other commerce. We're using data to inform our decisions. San Francisco is data-driven, and we provide many maps and resources and do a lot of research to better understand travel patterns. On the left is our week-by-week speed map for cars as well as for buses to see if we're making progress to keep transit competitive with private cars. And on the right is an example of a report from ITS America that we rely on resources and research from industry associations like ITS America. Here we have the Digital Infrastructure Strategy Report, And as you can see, there's all kinds of new technologies and sensors that can help understand and classify and analyze intersections to be able to support perhaps things like adaptive signaling and connected and other kinds of solutions to reach our Vision Zero and other goals. Here we also see that we're prioritizing equitable access in all of our work for low-income travelers, seniors, disabled persons, as well as low-income transit riders across the Bay Area. San Francisco carries more than all the other regional operators combined of the low-income transit population. So we're very mindful in everything that we do to be inclusive. And our Van Ness improvement project here that we see is an example of this. It's center lane bus rapid transit with signal priority for buses and emergency vehicles, signals, that are accessible for pedestrians, blind, low vision, and audio signals. And this is an example of how we're delivering ITS solutions along with big capital investments and smaller projects throughout the city. Transit ridership is up 30% in response to that project. In terms of our safety and Vision Zero agenda, these initiatives are focused on our high injury network, where 75 or more percent of our trips are on just 13% or so of our city network, where we are trying to add protected bike facilities and bike signals, reducing speeds on dozens of big streets with faster moving traffic, creating quick builds to get improvements on the ground more quickly, and using signaling in a smart way, again, to time signals for the slower moving pedestrians, as well as provide priority for bikes and for buses that are full of people. We also have some technology that will help us enforce no right turn on red laws, as well as a law that we are pursuing for speed safety automated enforcement. In terms of our climate process and projects and fleet charging, this is focused on our transit network as well as our private car network. And to do so, along with many other cities, we need resources. And it's so wonderful. And we're very grateful to President Biden and our US Congress for passing the bipartisan infrastructure bill recently, which provides much needed investment for transportation renewal and safety, equity, and climate protection. About $600 billion is included for transportation investments, supported by energy investments and power grid improvements and things like this, so that we can focus on equity and climate as well as safety and mobility. Now, reaching net zero requires a national charging network, for example. And about a year ago, Congress also passed the Inflation Reduction Act. So together with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the IRA is helping to fund development of a national EV charging network. The goal is to support a consistent, convenient, and reliable national charging system that is NEVI compliant and can leverage a lot of private investment from industry and other levels of government. This would be for rural areas, for long-haul trucking, as well as urban areas with transit and urban active transportation modes like biking and scooters. Coming back to the local level, we're applying a lot of these leveraging and funding opportunities to San Francisco through our long-range transportation plan, focused on many of the goals that you see here and that are shared by cities around the world. We are developing longer range, next generation transit and bicycle networks, next generation bus rapid transit and rail extensions, including integration with California high-speed rail, even as we're rehabilitating and renewing our infrastructure, repairing them and repairing past harms as we go, so that we can reconnect communities that were once divided, for example, by highway projects. Turning to the new mobility sector, this is something that we're continuing about a 10-year-long already experience here in San Francisco with new mobility. This is home base for a lot of the companies that you see here that are now worldwide companies. And we're very glad that we were able to learn from the experience of being home base for a lot of these services when they first emerged, things like car share and bike share and scooter share. That would be the sit-down scooters as well as stand-up scooters. It includes things like real-time information and apps and tolling solutions and variable parking pricing, as well as traditional ride hail and emerging autonomous and driverless vehicle ride hail services. Now, like many other cities, we also developed some policies and kind of a new mobility set of principles that you see here, the playbook for San Francisco to examine and evaluate any new technology, whatever it may be, as it comes on to our system. So that we can always see whether we're making progress toward our city's goals, being inclusive, being sustainable, having accountability, and also promoting collaboration. In 2019, we have an example of this, and now, companies and cities don't always agree as new services and technologies are being introduced, but the more they communicate, the better they can collaborate. So in 2019, we did together with industry, Lyft and Uber, did successfully partner to pass a local ride-hail tax, a 3.25% fee on all ride-hail trips originating in San Francisco that funds citywide safety projects, roadway projects, as well as muni improvements to our public transit system. And this applies to driverless vehicles as well, with a 50% discount for traditional or driverless ride hail that is in an electric vehicle. So continuing on, we see a whole range of current projects that we are working on together with SFMTA as our city, again, sister agency, doing most of these projects, including the next generation curb management, work zone type data exchange feed type projects, building on the MDS or mobility data specification that cities like San Francisco and across the US, 300 or so cities are already using. And then we're also focused on opportunities like our Treasure Island mobility program, which you can see here is an island off of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge, where San Francisco is hoping to develop 8,000 new units of housing, much needed housing, but we want to avoid the congestion that can come with this. So we are developing this new neighborhood with 50% or better transit mode share as our goal. And this includes offering more bus service, a zero emission clean ferry, as well as equitable tolling so that we can help pay for all of the transit services and so that we can control congestion. The hope is also for the equitable tolling part to be able to combine the transit and the roadway pricing in a single app with a mobility wallet that allows for affordable discounts to be accessed very easily. And just this past month, 2 months ago, we launched our new Loop AV shuttle. This is a demonstration of autonomous vehicle shuttles. It operates entirely on public roads, fully electric and free to the public 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And there will always be an attendant on board to help passengers, and it is wheelchair accessible. Our partner is Beep, and we're very, very grateful to be funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, our regional agency, and our agency, the SFCTA. Finally, I'll just comment a little on the experience that we've had as the locus of driverless autonomous vehicle deployment within California. We're the only city that has this level of activity. And this is a result of innovative policies over 10 years ago by California. The legislature and the governor did pass regulations to set up driverless testing and deployment rules, and the California Department of Motor Vehicle administers that at the state level alongside the California Public Utilities Commission, which regulates passenger service. So dozens of companies have been testing in California and in San Francisco. Again, we are often the home base for a lot of these companies as well. And two companies in particular have had the most experience by now in San Francisco, Cruise and Waymo, who were both recently approved for full commercial deployment. Now, certainly, excuse me, it's very impressive to have these new technologies on our roadways, and we see that they are growing their miles driven. Each, I believe, have about 5 million driverless miles to date. Last year, they were granted limited pilots, either for Cruise in a smaller part of San Francisco and for Waymo in a testing format, but have recently both been granted full deployment permits for the full city areas of the city, as well, 24/7 around the clock, and with unlimited fleet size. Now, soon after the granting of these permits, we did find that Cruise had some uh, uh, crashes and other incidents that did cause the California Department of Motor Vehicles to investigate and also ask Cruise to reduce their fleet by half, which they did following a crash with one of our fire engines that was responding to an emergency. So again, we see that there's a lot of activity. There's a lot that's being learned with each of these permits and each stage of activity. And we want to make sure that as we go, we are learning from all of the incidents that we're seeing, as well as all the different types of services that are being rolled out. There are many, many views on the path and the pace and the promise of AV sector development. We continue to be a partner in that work. We continue to advocate for incremental approaches to driverless AV permitting at the state and federal level. And we want to continue to have learning and exchange with the international community at conferences such as this to mature the technology and regulatory framework together. So again, I thank you all for your time and this opportunity. I welcome as well, on behalf of San Francisco, many of you to the APEC conference that San Francisco is privileged to host in just a couple of weeks. So we hope that you will not hesitate to reach out if we can be of assistance to you or your delegations if you come to San Francisco, and we certainly hope that you will. Thank you again.